Billionaire gave his car to his poor driver for 21 hours. He gave 65-year-old mother the best ride. Before we begin, I need you to sit with something uncomfortable. If someone is poor, does that automatically mean they are not doing their best? If the truth hurts, do we blame the truth, or the choices that led there? Hold those questions. Because what you're about to hear will test every assumption you carry about fairness, survival, and what we owe each other when the stakes are real. This isn't a story about heroes and villains. It's about a man who gave everything he had to see his mother smile, and a man who gave nothing until he had no choice but to see himself clearly. Let's begin. The garage is silent except for the hum of overhead lights. Grant Ashford stands beside a $250,000 vehicle. Matte black, hand-stitched interior, engine tuned to perfection. He holds the keys loosely in his right hand, turning them once, twice, like he's weighing an idea he hasn't fully committed to yet. Caleb Mercer, his driver of 3 years, stands 6 feet away. He's holding a clipboard. His uniform is pressed. His posture is professional. He's waiting for instructions about tomorrow's schedule. Grant doesn't speak immediately. He's watching Caleb's face, the slight tension in his jaw, the careful neutrality in his eyes. Caleb has learned how to disappear in plain sight. It's a skill you develop when your survival depends on not offending the person who signs your checks. Grant tosses the keys. Not gently. Not cruelly. Just enough spin that Caleb has to catch them or let them hit the concrete. Caleb catches them. 21 hours, Grant says. The car is yours. Caleb blinks. Sir? You heard me. 21 hours. You can do whatever you want with it. Drive wherever you want. I won't track it. I won't monitor it. I won't ask questions. Caleb looks down at the keys in his hand like they're evidence he's about to be framed with. I don't understand. Grant steps closer. Caleb's throat moves. He doesn't respond. The silence stretches. Grant turns and walks toward the elevator. Over his shoulder he adds, if you refuse, you're fired. If you wreck it, you're fired. If you embarrass me, you're fired. The elevator doors open. Grant steps inside, turns, and watches Caleb standing there, frozen. 21 hours, Grant repeats. Starting now. The doors close. Caleb stands alone in the garage, the weight of the keys burning in his palm, the engine of a vehicle worth more than his entire life sitting 3 feet away. He doesn't move. Outside, through the garage's glass wall, staff members watch. Some are curious. Some are smirking. Some are already taking bets on how long it'll take before Caleb does something stupid. Grant steps out of the elevator on the 40th floor and walks to the window overlooking the city. He doesn't look back. He doesn't need to. He's already decided what will happen. People like Caleb always choose themselves. They always disappoint. And when they do, Grant will feel nothing, because he spent years building systems to protect himself from the pain of being wrong about people. He watches the black car pull out of the garage and disappear into traffic. Grant whispers to himself, this will tell me everything. Then he does something he hasn't done in years. He orders security not to track the vehicle. No GPS. No cameras. No monitoring. For 21 hours, Caleb Mercer will be completely invisible. And for the first time in a long time, Grant Ashford wonders if that was a mistake. Before we go deeper, where are you watching from? Is it London, England, or United States of America? Let us know in the comment, and if you are new here, hit the subscribe button. Grant Ashford was not born believing people were parasites. He learned it. He stands in his office now, 40 floors above the city, staring at nothing. The lights of the skyline blur together. He's thinking about the first time he gave someone a second chance. Her name was Monica. She worked in accounting. Single mother. 2 kids. Always on time, always polite, always one emergency away from falling apart. Grant was younger then. Newer to wealth. Still uncomfortable with the distance money creates between people. When Monica's car broke down, he paid for the repair. When her rent increased, he adjusted her salary. When her son needed surgery, Grant covered the hospital bill without hesitation. She cried when she thanked him. He felt good about it. 6 months later, Monica was caught embezzling $43,000. She'd been skimming payments, falsifying invoices, redirecting funds into an account she'd set up under her sister's name. When confronted, she didn't deny it. She said, "You had so much. I thought you wouldn't notice." Grant remembers standing in that conference room, watching her fold her hands on the table, watching her cry again, but this time the tears felt like strategy. "I needed it more than you," she said. And that's when something in him closed. Not anger. Not rage. Just a cold, practical realization. Mercy creates dependency, and dependency creates resentment, and resentment creates theft. He fired her. He pressed charges. He won the case. And he built a system to ensure it would never happen again. Rules, boundaries, distance, no gifts, no exceptions, no personal investment. If you worked for Grant Ashford, you got fairness, but never grace. Because grace, he learned, is just weakness wearing a kinder name. He turns from the window and looks at the framed photo on his desk. It's been there for years. He never looks at it directly. His mother. Her name was Evelyn. She died 3 years ago in a care facility Grant paid for but never visited. He tells himself he was busy. He tells himself she understood. He tells himself the monthly payments were enough. But tonight, standing in the silence, he hears her voice the way he always does when he's alone too long. You think control protects you, baby? But all it does is make you small. He shakes his head. No. Control is what built this empire. Control is what keeps people from taking advantage of him. Control is what separates him from the chaos that swallowed everyone he grew up with. Grant sits at his desk and opens his laptop. He pulls up Caleb's file. 3 years of service. 0 complaints. 0 mistakes. Quiet. Dependable. Invisible. Grant scrolls to the notes section and types. Hypothesis. Caleb will misuse the vehicle for social validation, personal pleasure, or financial gain. He will prioritize himself over responsibility. This will confirm that poverty does not ennoble, it only constrains behavior until opportunity removes constraint. He pauses. Then adds, if correct, termination will be efficient and justified. If incorrect, I will reevaluate. He closes the laptop. The city hums below. Grant leans back in his chair and closes his eyes. He's not hoping to be wrong. He's hoping to be proven right so thoroughly that he never has to question his systems again. Because the last time he trusted someone poor, they chose themselves. And Grant Ashford has spent every day since making sure he's never foolish enough to be surprised by that again. He mutters into the empty office. They always choose themselves. If you're still watching, comment I'm still here. Don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button. 21 hours. Grant stares at the clock on his wall. It's been 40 minutes since Caleb drove away, and the silence is louder than he expected. No alerts. No updates. No scandals forming on social media. Just nothing. Grant refreshes his phone for the 3rd time in 10 minutes. Still nothing. He tells himself this is the plan. He told security to stand down. He wanted Caleb to feel unsupervised, unwatched, free. But now, sitting in the stillness, Grant realizes he's constructed the perfect experiment, and trapped himself inside it. Because without data, without surveillance, without proof, all he has is imagination. And his imagination is ruthless. He pictures Caleb at a nightclub. Valet stand. Red carpet. Cameras flashing. The car pulls up. Door swings open. Caleb steps out in borrowed confidence, grinning like he owns the world. Women notice. Men notice. Everyone notices. Someone takes a photo. Someone posts it. Someone tags Grant's company. By morning, the headlines write themselves. Billionaire's driver joyrides in $250,000 car. Ashford Industries, out of touch or just reckless? Grant's jaw tightens. He pictures Caleb at a casino, parking the car in the VIP section, walking in with cash he doesn't have, throwing it away on tables rigged against him, laughing, drinking, pretending. He pictures Caleb at a friend's house, showing off, letting people sit in the driver's seat, letting them take selfies, letting them touch things they have no right to touch. Grant's hands curl into fists. He pictures worse. Caleb selling access to the car, renting it out for an hour, 2 hours, pocketing the cash, risking everything for a few $100s because that's what desperation does. It makes you stupid. Or worse still, Caleb taking the car to a chop shop, stripping it, selling the parts, disappearing with enough money to start over somewhere Grant will never find him. Grant stands abruptly. He paces the length of his office. No, he says aloud. He wouldn't. But the doubt is there now, crawling under his skin. Because the problem with trust is that it requires you to believe people will act against their immediate self-interest. And Grant stopped believing that a long time ago. He walks to the window and stares down at the city. Somewhere out there, Caleb is driving. Somewhere out there, the car is moving. And Grant has no idea where or why or with whom. He pulls out his phone and opens the security app. One tap. That's all it would take. One tap and he'd know everything. He hovers his thumb over the screen. Then he locks the phone and puts it back in his pocket. No, he says again. If he cheats the experiment, the data means nothing. If he tracks Caleb now, he'll never know what the man would have done when he truly believed no one was watching. Grant returns to his desk and sits. The clock ticks. He imagines headlines. He imagines lawsuits. He imagines the board of directors asking him why he gave a low-level employee access to a company asset without supervision. He imagines his own voice, calm and detached, saying, "I was testing his character." And the board responding, "You were gambling with our reputation." Grant closes his eyes. Maybe they'd be right. Maybe this whole thing was a mistake. Maybe he should have just fired Caleb quietly and moved on. But something in him needed to know. Needed proof. Needed confirmation that his worldview, cold, disciplined, unforgiving, was correct. Because if Caleb proves him wrong, if Caleb does something noble, something selfless, something Grant didn't anticipate, then Grant will have to confront a possibility he's been avoiding for years. That he's not protecting himself from weakness. He's hiding from his own. His phone buzzes. Grant grabs it immediately. It's security. A 2-word message. No activity logged. Grant stares at the screen. No clubs. No parties. No social media posts. No GPS pings from known gambling establishments. No reports of the vehicle being seen in high-traffic areas. Nothing. Grant sets the phone down slowly. He whispers, "Where the hell are you, Caleb? Where do you think Caleb is? Guess? What do you think? Let us know in the comment below." 16 hours have passed. Grant hasn't slept. He's reviewed company reports, signed documents, taken calls, but his mind keeps circling back to the same question. Where is the car? At 6 a.m. his phone rings. Security. "Sir, the vehicle has stopped." Grant sits up. "Where?" Pause. "South Elm. Residential area. Low-income housing district." Grant frowns. What's he doing there? Unknown. No activity detected. The car hasn't moved in 30 minutes. "Send me the coordinates." Already done. Grant opens the link. The map loads. He zooms in. The car is parked outside a 4-story apartment building. The structure is old. Faded brick, rusted fire escapes, windows covered with mismatched curtains. This isn't a party. This isn't a flex. This is nothing. Grant leans forward, staring at the screen. Has anyone approached the vehicle? Not yet. Keep watching. Understood. Grant ends the call. He pulls up archived traffic footage from nearby intersections and scrubs backward through the timeline. At 11:47 p.m. the previous night, the car appears on camera heading south. It drives slowly. No erratic movements. No racing. No showing off. Grant watches the footage frame by frame. The car turns onto South Elm. It slows further. Then it stops in front of the apartment building and doesn't move again. Grant narrows his eyes. What are you doing, Caleb? At 7:15 a.m. new footage arrives. The building's front door opens. A woman steps out. She's old, mid-60s, maybe older. Thin frame. Gray hair pulled back in a bun. She's wearing a floral dress that's been mended at the hem. She moves slowly, one hand on the railing as she descends the steps. Caleb is already there. He opens the car door before she reaches it. She hesitates. Her hand hovers over the handle like she's afraid to touch it. Caleb says something. The footage has no audio, but Grant can see his lips move. Gentle. Reassuring. The woman smiles. Not broadly. Not dramatically. Just a small, fragile smile. She gets in. Caleb closes the door carefully, walks around to the driver's side and gets in. The car pulls away. Grant rewinds the footage. Plays it again. And again. He zooms in on the woman's face. He enhances the image. And then he stops breathing. Because he recognizes her. Not personally. But contextually. He's seen her once before, 3 years ago in Caleb's file. The emergency contact form. The line labeled next of kin. Ruth Mercer. Mother. Grant sits back in his chair. The car didn't go to a club. It didn't go to a party. It went to pick up Caleb's mother. Grant whispers. What are you doing? Grant watches the rest unfold through scattered footage from traffic cameras and storefront security systems. The car drives east. Slowly. No sudden turns. No speeding. No showing off. At 8:20 a.m., it stops at a diner. Not a trendy spot. Not Instagram-worthy. A place called Lou's, faded sign, cracked parking lot, vinyl booths visible through the window. Caleb gets out first. He walks around and opens the door for his mother. She takes his arm. They walk inside together. Grant pulls the diner's public reviews. 1 star to 4 stars. The photos show laminate tables, bottomless coffee, and plates of eggs that cost $6.99. This is not where you take someone to impress them. This is where you take someone to feed them. At 9:05 a.m. they leave. Ruth is smiling again, wider this time. Caleb is carrying a to-go bag. They get back in the car. Grant leans closer to the screen. He watches Ruth's hand rest on the dashboard. Watches her look out the window like she's seeing the city for the first time. Watches Caleb glance at her every few seconds, checking, making sure she's comfortable. The car doesn't speed. It doesn't drift into expensive neighborhoods to gawk. It just drives. At 10:30 a.m. the car stops at a park. Small. Public. A few benches under oak trees. A playground in the distance. Caleb and Ruth sit on a bench. The footage is distant, grainy, but Grant can make out enough. Ruth opens the to-go bag. She pulls out 2 containers. Soup. Cheap soup in styrofoam cups. They eat together in silence. When they finish, Ruth folds her hands. Caleb folds his. They bow their heads. Grant stares. They're praying. Not for show. Not for an audience. Just 2 people sitting on a park bench giving thanks for soup. Grant pulls back from the screen. He stands. He walks to the window and looks out at the city, the skyline, the wealth, the empire he built by assuming the worst in people. And for the first time in years he feels something he doesn't have a name for. Not anger. Not vindication. Something quieter. Something worse. He whispers, "Why not more? Why didn't Caleb take her somewhere expensive? Why didn't he use the car to show off? Why didn't he maximize the opportunity?" Grant's mind races. Maybe Caleb is smarter than he thought. Maybe this is strategy. Maybe he knows Grant is watching and this whole thing is performance. But even as Grant thinks it, he knows it's not true. Because no one performs this quietly. No one stages humility in a public park with no cameras, no witnesses, no social proof. Grant returns to his desk and sits. The footage continues. Caleb and Ruth sit on that bench for another hour. They don't move. They don't take photos. They don't do anything except exist together in the kind of peace Grant hasn't felt in decades. And as he watches, something cracks inside him. Not loudly. Not violently. Just a hairline fracture in the armor he spent years building. He closes the laptop. He leans back. And for the first time since this began, Grant Ashford feels something unfamiliar. Shame. Do let us know what you think about this in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Grant doesn't move for a long time. The office is silent except for the hum of the air system and the distant city below. He's thinking about his mother, Evelyn Ashford. She died 3 years ago in a care facility called Meadowbrook Senior Living. A sterile, expensive place with beige walls and nurses who smiled too much. Grant paid for everything. Private room. Around-the-clock care. Specialized diet. Physical therapy. He wrote the checks. He never visited. The memory arrives unbidden. It's a Tuesday afternoon. Grant is in a board meeting. His phone vibrates. Meadowbrook Senior Living. He declines the call. It vibrates again 10 minutes later. He declines again. After the meeting, he listens to the voicemail. A nurse. Come. Professional. Mr. Ashford, your mother is asking for you. She's having a difficult day. If you have time, even just a phone call would mean a lot to her. Grant deletes the message. He tells himself he'll call later. He doesn't. 3 weeks after that, another call. This time he answers. A different nurse. Same calm tone. Mr. Ashford, we wanted to let you know your mother has been moved to hospice care. Her condition has declined significantly. If you'd like to visit, now would be the time. Grant thanks her. He hangs up. He opens his calendar. Wall-to-wall meetings. Investor calls. Contract negotiations. He tells himself he'll visit on the weekend. The weekend comes. He doesn't go. His mother dies on a Wednesday morning. Grant is in Milan when he gets the call. He flies back immediately. Not to see her. To handle the arrangements. He doesn't cry at the funeral. He doesn't speak. He just stands there in a suit that cost more than the casket and wonders why he feels nothing. Sitting in his office now, Grant remembers something else. A conversation. Years earlier. Before the care facility. Before the decline. His mother was still living in the small house Grant had bought her. Modest, safe, nothing extravagant. He'd stopped by unannounced. She was sitting on the porch, reading. "You don't have to keep checking on me," she said without looking up. "I'm not checking. I'm visiting." She smiled. "You're checking." Grant sat beside her. They didn't speak for a while. Then she said, You know what I miss most? What? Driving. Grant frowned. You can still drive. Not like I used to. Not far. My hands shake now. I'll get you a driver. She shook her head. That's not what I meant. Then what? She looked at him. I miss the feeling of going somewhere just because I wanted to. Not because I had to. Not because someone scheduled it. Just getting in the car and driving until I found something beautiful. Grant didn't respond. His mother reached over and squeezed his hand. You should try it sometime, baby. Just drive. No destination. No plan. Just see where you end up. Grant had nodded. But he never did it. And 6 months later, she couldn't drive at all. Now, sitting in his office, Grant pulls up a photo on his phone. It's the last picture he has of her. Taken by a nurse at Meadowbrook. His mother is sitting in a wheelchair by a window looking out at nothing. She's smiling. But her eyes are empty. Grant stares at the photo. He thinks about Caleb and Ruth sitting on that park bench. He thinks about soup in styrofoam cups. He thinks about folded hands and bowed heads. And he realizes, Caleb gave his mother something Grant never gave his own. Time. Presence. The simple, irreplaceable gift of being there. Grant sets the phone down. His hands are shaking. He made a promise to his mother once. It was during one of his last visits, before the care facility, before the decline, when she was still sharp enough to see through him. You're going to regret this, she said. Regret what? Choosing work over people. Choosing control over love. Choosing to be right over being close. I'm building something, Grant said. Something that matters. His mother looked at him for a long time. Then she said, Baby, you're building a cage. Grant had kissed her forehead and left. He never went back. Now, alone in his office, Grant whispers, You were right. The city glows outside. The car is still out there. Caleb is still driving. And Grant Ashford, billionaire, empire builder, man of systems and control, sits in the dark and wonders if he just proved himself wrong about everything. The clock ticks. Somewhere his mother's voice echoes. You think control protects you, baby? But all it does is make you small. Grant closes his eyes. The experiment isn't over. But the outcome is already shifting. And for the first time in years, Grant isn't sure he's ready for what comes next. 21 hours. The car pulls into the garage at 6:47 p.m. Grant is already there. He's been standing in the same spot for 30 minutes, arms crossed, face unreadable. The engine cuts. Caleb steps out. He's still wearing his uniform. Still moving with that careful, invisible precision Grant has watched for 3 years. He walks around to the passenger side, opens the door and helps his mother out. Ruth looks around the garage with wide eyes, gleaming concrete, rows of luxury vehicles, lights so bright they hum. She whispers something to Caleb. He smiles and nods. Then he walks her to the elevator, presses the button, and waits with her until the doors open. Thank you, baby, she says. Caleb kisses her forehead. I'll see you Sunday, Mama. She steps inside. The doors close. Caleb stands there for a moment watching the numbers climb. Then he turns and sees Grant. The two men stand 15 feet apart. Caleb doesn't flinch, doesn't apologize, doesn't explain. He just walks forward and holds out the keys. Grant doesn't take them immediately. Instead, he walks past Caleb to the car. He opens the driver's door and looks inside. The interior is spotless. No trash. No stains. No lingering smell of food or cologne. The floor mats are clean. The leather seats are perfect. Grant runs his hand along the dashboard. Not a scratch. He checks the odometer. 83 miles. Grant closes the door and circles the car slowly, checking every panel, every angle. Caleb stands in the center of the garage, silent, waiting. Grant completes the inspection and walks back. Where did you go? Caleb meets his eyes. I took my mother for a drive. Where? A diner. A park. A few places she used to visit when I was a kid. That's it. Yes, sir. Grant's jaw tightens. You had 21 hours. You could have done anything. Gone anywhere. I did, sir. You wasted it. Caleb's expression doesn't change. No, sir. I didn't. The silence between them is sharp. Grant steps closer. You could have impressed people. You could have made connections. You could have used that car to open doors for yourself. I don't need doors, sir. I need my mother to remember what it felt like to be cared for. Grant's breath catches. She's 65 years old, Caleb continues, voice steady. She raised me alone. Worked 2 jobs. Never asked for anything. Never complained. And for the last 10 years she's lived in a one-bedroom apartment she can barely afford, taking the bus to church every Sunday because I can't always drive her. Caleb pauses. You gave me a car worth more than everything she's ever owned. I could have used it to feel big, to feel important, to pretend I'm someone I'm not. He shakes his head. Or I could give her one day where she didn't have to feel small. Grant's hands curl into fists. Not from anger. From something deeper. You don't understand what I was testing, Grant says. Yes, sir. I do. You think you do. Caleb looks at him directly. You wanted to see if I'd betray your trust. If I'd prove that poor people are just waiting for a chance to take what they don't deserve. Grant doesn't respond. I understand that, sir. Because people have taken from you before. And you've built walls to make sure it never happens again. Caleb's voice softens. But I didn't take anything from you, Mr. Ashford. I borrowed something. I used it the way it was meant to be used. And I brought it back the way I found it. He holds out the keys again. If that's not enough, I understand. But I won't apologize for it. Grant stares at the keys in Caleb's hand. He doesn't take them. Instead, he turns and walks toward the elevator. Over his shoulder, he says, Go home, Caleb. Caleb's voice is quiet. Am I fired, sir? Grant stops. He doesn't turn around. I don't know yet. The elevator doors open. Grant steps inside. As the doors close, he sees Caleb standing alone in the center of the garage, keys still in his hand, expression unreadable. The elevator rises. Grant leans against the wall and closes his eyes. His hands are shaking. Because he just got exactly what he asked for, proof of character. But the proof didn't confirm what he believed. It shattered it. And now Grant Ashford, a man who has spent years building systems to protect himself from disappointment, has to face a question he's been avoiding for decades. What if I've been wrong about people the entire time? The elevator reaches the 40th floor. The doors open. Grant steps into his office. He doesn't turn on the lights. He just stands there in the dark, staring at the city below, wondering what the hell he's supposed to do now. Grant doesn't sleep that night. He sits at his desk, the city glowing beneath him, and stares at an envelope he's been drafting in his mind for hours. Termination letter. Standard severance. Claim. Professional. Final. He opens his laptop and begins typing. Dear Mr. Mercer. Effective immediately, your employment with Ashford Industries has been terminated. He stops. Deletes the sentence. Starts again. Kill. After careful consideration. He stops again. His hands hover over the keyboard. He doesn't know what he's considering anymore. Firing Caleb would be easy. Justified even. The man failed the test, not by doing something wrong but by refusing to play the game Grant designed. But that's the problem. Caleb didn't fail. He just didn't perform. Grant closes the laptop. He stands and walks to the window. 40 floors below, the city moves. Cars, lights, people living lives Grant will never touch. Somewhere out there, Caleb is sitting in a modest apartment, probably wondering if tomorrow he'll still have a job. Somewhere out there, Ruth is smiling about a day she'll remember for the rest of her life. And here, in this office, Grant Ashford, master of systems, believer in rules, architect of boundaries, is completely alone. Meanwhile, across the city, Caleb sits at a small kitchen table. His phone is face down beside him. His mother is in the next room, asleep. He's not afraid. Not exactly. But he's realistic. Grant Ashford is not a man who forgives disruptions to his worldview. And Caleb disrupted it. Ruth's voice drifts from the other room, soft, half asleep. You did good today, baby. Caleb doesn't respond. He just sits there, hands folded, staring at nothing. He thinks about the way Grant looked at him in the garage. Not angry. Not disappointed. Just shaken. Like someone had pulled a thread and the whole fabric started to unravel. Caleb knows that look. He's seen it before. It's the look of a man realizing he's been wrong about something fundamental. And men like Grant don't handle that well. Ruth's voice again. Whatever happens, you did the right thing. Caleb closes his eyes. I hope so, Mama. The next morning, Caleb's phone rings. Unknown number. He answers. Mr. Mercer? Yes. This is Grant Ashford's assistant. Mr. Ashford would like to see you in his office at 10 a.m. Caleb's chest tightens. Understood. Please bring your employee ID. The line goes dead. Caleb sets the phone down. Ruth is standing in the doorway watching him. What did they say? He wants to see me. Is that good or bad? Caleb shrugs. I don't know yet. She walks over and places a hand on his shoulder. You gave me the best day I've had in years, baby. No matter what happens, don't you dare regret that. Caleb covers her hand with his. I don't. Good. She kisses the top of his head and walks back to her room. Caleb sits alone in the quiet. He's not scared, but he's not hopeful either. He's just ready for whatever comes next. At 9:45 a.m., Caleb steps off the elevator onto the 40th floor. The assistant is waiting. She doesn't smile. This way. She leads him down a long hallway, glass walls, abstract art, the kind of silence that costs money. They stop in front of a set of double doors. The assistant knocks once, then opens them. Mr. Mercer, sir. Caleb steps inside. Grant is standing at the window, back turned. The doors close. Silence. Grant doesn't move for a long moment. Then he turns. His face is unreadable. He walks to his desk, picks up an envelope and holds it out. Caleb takes it. He doesn't open it. Grant's voice is quiet. Controlled. You're being promoted. Head of personal operations. Salary tripled. Company vehicle. Full benefits for your mother. Caleb stares at him. Grant continues. You won't report to me directly anymore. You'll manage a team. You'll have autonomy. You'll have respect. He pauses. I'm not doing this because I like you. I'm doing it because you showed me something I'd forgotten. What's that, sir? That character isn't what you do when people are watching. It's what you do when you think no one will ever know. Grant's jaw tightens. I've spent years assuming the worst in people, building systems to protect myself from disappointment. And I was right most of the time. He looks directly at Caleb. But not about you. Caleb doesn't speak. Grant gestures toward the envelope. There's one condition. Every Sunday you take that car and you drive your mother wherever she wants to go. Not because I'm asking. Because she deserves it. Caleb's throat tightens. Thank you, sir. Grant nods once. You can go. Caleb turns to leave. At the door he stops. Mr. Ashford? Yes. It's never too late. Grant frowns. For what? To visit someone who matters. Caleb leaves. Grant stands alone in the office. He walks to his desk and opens the bottom drawer. Inside is a small box, his mother's ashes. He's kept them here for 3 years, meaning to scatter them, never finding the time. He lifts the box carefully. For the first time in years, Grant Ashford gets in a car with no destination and drives until he finds something beautiful. If you're interested in what happened next, comment part 2 because what he discovered as he drove changed the trajectory of his life. Remember the questions? What's your response? Don't forget to subscribe, like and share either someone who needs to hear this story. Also don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss part 2. Thanks for watching.